we are going to talk about setting some boundaries.
This is not therapy. Kinda.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs this pep talk at some point in their creative business. We have needed it many, many times, and you'll probably need it at least once, but probably more than once.
Over and over. Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk about first, which I think we're probably all familiar with this, the results of when you have a lack of a healthy work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've been there, just because I know you, and I know I've been there. But do you want to share about like when you were there? Like what were the results of it?
Sure. Well, I mean, I had two little kids, and I was excited. We've talked about this a lot. You fall into having no boundaries and balance between work and home when either you've got way too much pressure on you or you're super, super excited about what you're doing and you love it. And bonus, if you've got both of those, it is a recipe for disaster. And so, it really
Success
is.
and disaster.
Success and disaster, right. I was, every nap time I was on the computer, then that would bleed over into when everyone was up and playing and then once I moved into working in my stores and not just at home, it would be, I was homeschooling at the time. So, we would be doing school and I'd dash around and get work done. And then, I'd get a little one down for a nap. It was just a constant struggle. And then at night was my big one. For whatever reason, for me, that just left me feeling so worn out and not present, at home. And it was at the height of, I would say, at least for Perfectly Imperfect, when the blog had been doing really well, making a great income from that. And then I started the stores and I just published, I think it was right after the book that I realized, you know what? I am always on. I'm always on. I'm not off and on vacation and all, just the pressure because, the internet doesn't sleep. So it's just this pressure that you put on yourself to keep going, keep churning out new content, new pictures, new this, new that, all
and there's always more you could be doing and doing better than you're doing it right now.
Right.
Always another thing.
Right. And so eventually it just, it got to a point where I just felt like, I'm going to look up in 5 years and my kids are going to be, they'll be close to being teenagers and, they'll at least be preteens. And I'm going to be, I'm going to regret this time that I didn't just take a minute to slow down, Is my business really going to explode if from the hours of, 6 p.m. to midnight, I'm not, just totally fostering it, petting it, brushing its hair, it's just too much. So I definitely get it.
So you were brushing your business hair a little bit.
Yes, braids. We would sit down and do braids, hopscotch. Yeah, it was a bad problem.
Well, and I've been there too, where I've been like, there was no bedtime. No. There was no time was off limits. Anytime anybody was happy and playing, that's when I was working. Yeah. And it was hard because, like you said, when you're passionate about it and you love it, I'm like, well, this is kind of what I want to be doing in my free time.
It's not out of poor motivation.
Yeah. But I did, and that being said, there are times when it's like, this is a season where I need to push.
Yeah.
But just like with taxes, when the government's like, we just need to increase your taxes for this time. It's like, that's always like, history says that you will never lower them again. So, right? Like, we've had a flood. We need to raise your taxes. Okay, now they've been that way since 1962. So anyway, I think it's like that. Like, you turn on the gas. So there's really does have to be this season of busyness. And then you say, okay, once this is done, I need to set some boundaries. So I think some of the boundaries, so some practical ways to set boundaries. I think one thing that I started doing that helped immensely was I started doing a list of big 3 things that I had to do every day. Well, a list of 3 things, and I called it my big 3.
Yeah.
And so what that did, instead of having this big running to-do list with like 50 things on it that are going to take a year to complete, I'm the kind of personality, like, I want the list to be done.
Yeah.
And so I need to work every waking hour till it's done, and then of course you keep adding more onto the list, and you can never catch up. So when I started doing the big 3, that meant that, like, at the end of finishing those 3 doable in a day things, I could call that success, and I could actually end my day and say, this is, I've accomplished what I need to accomplish, and I can end my day now. And then put 3 more things on my list for tomorrow. Yeah. That helped me immensely, so there's a stopping point.
Right. And, you know, here's the thing. And I'd worked through this on my own with my own companies. And then, but, you know, one of the benefits, or at least experiences you get from business consulting or coaching, you know, with other companies, is to see how they do things, you know. And I'm going to tell you, when you have experiences where this is not in place at all, and this can be you know, it could be a sole, you know, proprietorship. This could be, you know, an LLC, a joint partnership. It doesn't have to be a huge company for this to be a problem. Again, it can be just you, you know, in your home, you know, you're working at home. But to experience what happens when you don't ever learn to set some boundaries between work and life, you know, home and life, you know, in that way, it will eat you alive, you know. And for those of you that have built businesses large enough to support even a small team or a larger team, it will eat them alive. People need rest. You need rest. You need moments of just being. It actually increases, and this is a scientific thing. I cannot list all the studies. We probably should have, but it is a real thing. You need your brain to rest outside of just sleep at night. You need a moment of quiet, or to be with the people you love, to laugh, you know, to do something silly, to be outside. Those things provide you with more energy. They are not a detriment to your productivity, you know. So
I think so what you're saying, like, it helped me to see rest as a part of work, like unhurried creative time as a part of work, and rest as a part of work, and learning as a part of work. Helped me so much to see, well, it helped me be much more well-rounded, and it helped me feel full to be able to write good content and create good work. Whereas before, I was creating out of a, you know, out of an empty well. I felt stuck. I felt like I just wasn't sure I was going to have anything else to share. And, you know, after years, I've been writing on my blog for 10 years. I've written over 3,000 blog posts. And then on top of that, I've written over 200 articles for websites and magazines. And then on top of like everything else. And it's like, you know, there have been times where I didn't give myself just the time to recharge. And we'll talk about like getting creatively unstuck, and we'll talk about staying in love with your work, and this kind of ties into that. But so it's so important to make doable schedules for each day, however you're going to do that. Consider rest as a part of work is definitely, I think, another just practical tool for setting those boundaries.
Yes. And you and I have talked about this a lot, and different tools work, you know, again, for different people. A list for me, that is not enough motivation usually for me, because I am definitely a list girl, as we know from all the notebooks I own and use. I think I have 5 that I'm currently in. So lists are important, but I tend, because I know that it's, yes, those were my priorities today, but I know that the other is there, you know? So it's hard for me to click that off then mentally. So I really noticed a big difference when I did actually start using a calendar, you know, and setting my schedule and saying, you know, even, and I put as much on there as I can now. And it's down to, you know, pick the kids up from school from not at 3, because guess what? We have to be there at 3. So that means I have to leave at 2:45. So, you know.
I need to write that down.
Yes.
No, I don't have that one down. Leave before you need to be there.
Before you need to be there. You know, but again, if you were to do that, you would be surprised. If you were to start chronicling all of your time in that way, you'll be surprised at how much you're trying to fit into a normal day. It's usually 2 to 3 times more than you can accomplish.
So did you alter your day then based on
entirely?
that? Wow.
Yeah, entirely. And so then I realized, you know, okay, I will accomplish what I can fit on here. Now, I'm not saying, you know, there's never something I'm doing that doesn't make it to the calendar. I'm not that rigid. But at the same time, I will leave chunks of time, you know, so that I know, okay, from 2 to 4 is, you know, I'm going to write today, or I'm going to work on the creative exponent, you know, and that helps me organize my day in a way that I feel like by the end of the day, you know what, I know what I did today, you know, and I'm good, because there's still 3,000 more things to do, but we're all set for the day, and it's time to close. You know, there's a reason that most companies, most businesses shut down at the end of the day, you know. But
I think, like you said, because the internet's 24 hours, if your business is online based, or because so many businesses now are open 24 hours, or open just ridiculously late or early. That it open early, that it's just like, you know, you kind of feel that push for more. Whereas in our society, we used to, everything was closed on Sundays, everything was closed on holidays. It's really interesting when I travel to Paris that there are company or stores that will close down for like a whole, you know, for sort of a mini sabbatical, you know, they just close down, they go do their vacation or whatever. I'm getting email notifications just so everybody's aware of how popular
Speaking of boundaries. No.
I just didn't turn the sound off on my computer. So anyway, that's what that is. But yeah, so the other thing on the flip side of that is, and we've talked about this sort of before, is setting the boundaries between life getting in on your work time.
Yes, because in the way of your work.
So there need to be boundaries that protect both sides. You've got to have protected, dedicated work time that the people in your household respect, your family and friends respect it. Like, hey, you're at work. Even though you're at home and you're sitting in front of your computer on Facebook, like you're at work right now. And so for them to respect that just as much as you would respect them being at their place of business where they cannot accept phone calls at that time, you know? So I did actually have a conversation with Jeff where I'm like, I love you. I love talking to you on the phone and catching up with you. But can you please not call me between 10 and 2:30? That is my prime work time.
By the way.
It's like 4.5 hours.
We can do it. We can make it.
It's a short, productive work day. So I've just asked, like, can you not call between those times? After that, like, I have to get the kids. They're home. It's, you know, I'm still trying to do. I work more hours than that, but that's my time when I can be
the
focused.
Most focused.
Yeah, and that's during my day. That's what I give my absolute best time to, is between 10 and 2:30. My best stuff happens then. So I ask him not to call me then. I have gotten to the point I'll turn my phone on silent. I will close the door. I'll make sure that I am insulated as much as I can be. Now, when my kids are little, you have to just do what you can do, but you've got to set some boundaries and communicate that well to your family.
Yeah. No, and it's reasonable, and not that, again, you'll probably hear us say this a lot. You don't need our permission, but here's your permission to set those.
Ask your husband to not call you during this time. We give you permission to do that.
We do give you permission for that, as well as, as giving yourself permission to be done at the end of your day.
Yes.
And,
permission to be done.
Yeah, be done for the day. Be done. Go laugh. Go hang out with your family. Go do dinner with friends. Whatever the thing is, you get permission to have both, boundaries for work and for home.
Yeah. So next time we're going to talk about the creative cycle. And I think that actually kind of plays into, we did that intentionally maybe, but it kind of plays into boundaries, how there's there is this cycle to things. There are busy times. There are sort of quiet seasons. And so we'll talk a little bit about that cycle so that as you go through that cycle, you just, it's normal.
It's normal.
You know that it's normal, and it doesn't feel like as you're on this path, that you're expecting it to be like this. It doesn't feel like I should quit now.
Right. It's all over.
Right. So anyway, we're going to talk about that next time. But until then, just take some time and draw some clear boundaries, and I guarantee you, it's just gonna make it better. Limiting.
Start tracking your time. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's gonna blow your mind. It will. It really will.
Yep. And it's going to change your business and I think improve your quality of life.
Yep.
And so, and if you're just getting started, it'll get you off on a good foot so you don't have to get burnt out to learn that you need to do that.
Yep.
Yep. So we'll see you next time, and I'll turn my email notifications.